Hey everyone, Luna here, and today I want to talk about coming out of the broom closet. First, I want to share with you my experience, and then my advice to others. I came across this path when I was 13 years old. A friend of mine had brought a book to school and I was interested. So that's when I started researching. And I wasn't just researching witchcraft, I was also researching Buddhism, Confucianism, Taoism. I was studying about as much as I could get my hands on. My mom was very adamant about not straying from our Christian path. My parents were missionaries, and I was very involved with the church. I was the youngest graduate of the School of Ministry from our church at 13 years old, at 12, actually, I was 12. So I was very involved in Christianity, and my mom was very adamant about opening books that were of the devil and things like that, that having those materials was an invitation to demons to come and wreak havoc and whatnot. Told my mom to chill out, and I was just reading, trying to understand different beliefs and why people had them. That was one thing that I was very adamant about to my mom, was that I'm just studying. So I really, really enjoyed Wicca. It felt like something that felt good for me. So I practiced, and because of the fact that my mother was very adamant about not having these kinds of things, I lied and kept things from her. I remember being about 14, 15 years old, and my mom finding books that had belonged to my friends that I was borrowing and using to get information for my Book of Shadows. She never found my Book of Shadows because I had that with me at all times. It was always in with my notebooks for school. But I had these books that she had found, and I'm a little hot, and threw them away. And I was horribly upset because this was not my property. It didn't occur to me then that she destroyed someone else's property, and I could have fixed that problem by going to my friend's parents. But I panicked and had to buy new books for my friends. So that's why I stayed hidden. I did not come out of the broom closet until I was 19 years old. And at this time, I was married, and I had just had my oldest daughter, who's 5.5 right now. So Lily, my oldest, was itty bitty, about the size of my arm. And I was a pretty awesome mom. At that time, I was not living with my husband. We were separated. I was living with my mom. My mom had come across a comment I had left online, either on MySpace or on Facebook. I'm not quite sure which one. And she asked me about my religious preference. And I told her. And she threw a hissy fit. So she just went on a rant about what a terrible mother I was because I was not raising my child Christian. I gave the argument of religion doesn't matter when raising your children, which it really doesn't. My husband is an atheist, and he is an awesome parent. And I told my mom, loving your child is what is most important. She retorted with, teaching them about God is showing how much you love them. And I knew this was a lost battle. My mom is a pastor, so the fact that her daughter is not a part of the flock is devastating, because of the fact that I helped out in the church. I led the youth lessons until my mom could find a youth minister. I went through Hosanna Bible Institute. I am ordained through the Hosanna Bible Institute. That was 3 years of learning about the Bible. So after that one incident, it was never spoken about ever again. Ever. Either my mom has conveniently forgotten or is conveniently in denial. I'm not quite sure. I came out to my sister first when I was about 15, 16 years old. And that's because my sister is awesome. She is hilarious. She didn't care, which is the reaction you should have. Because they're still family. And unless they are causing physical, emotional harm to themselves, it shouldn't be a big deal. It really shouldn't. My brother, I told my brother around that same time, he kind of figured it out on his own, to be honest. But my siblings didn't care. I was their baby sister, and they didn't care. So it was a lot more comfortable to express myself with them than it was to my mom. Anyway, my mom's reaction to my coming out of the broom closet was mild in comparison to some parents. I didn't mention anything to my mom until I was 19 years old because I was already an adult. And I had been studying the craft for years. For 6 years, I had been studying witchcraft and practicing for about the same amount of time. So I knew for certain that these were my beliefs. I had analyzed my beliefs and practiced them regularly. I told her yes, because I knew that this was for real. It wasn't just a fad. It wasn't just a phase. I wasn't doing it for attention. This was a part of me. So that's my first advice. Before coming out of the broom closet, make sure that you have been studying for at least a year and that you are absolutely certain this is the path for you. If maybe a couple of years down the line it isn't, then it isn't. But make sure that you analyze your beliefs regularly to make sure you're going down the right path. Because the wrong religious path is just, it's very uncomfortable. My second advice is don't come out of the broom closet all at once. Don't just sit down one day and go, well, I'm a witch. Or, well, I'm a druid. Or Wiccan, pagan, whatever. You know, kind of ease it out a bit. Start talking about religion. It's like, what are your views on God? What would you say about this? What would you say about that? I knew my mom was going to react badly because of the fact that she was a very incredibly devout Christian. I knew my siblings were not going to react badly because they weren't. They're pretty open-minded. To better understand how a person would react would be to better understand how or what they believe in. So it would be best to understand their beliefs before introducing your own, just to avoid too much conflict. If they're going to react just outrageous, if you believe they're going to react outrageous, just wait. My best bet with telling my mom when I was an adult was the fact that I could leave the house. I had a place to go. So I could have gone if she didn't want me in the house, I could leave and I'd be fine. I'd be heartbroken, but I could leave. There are people who will react like that, who will kick you out of their house, and who will never speak to you again. And they have every right to do that. It's going to break your heart. But you just deal with it. That's the best advice I can give on that. There are some people who are not even going to care. Like my husband, I told my husband I'm a pagan. I practice witchcraft. He teases me every once in a while, but he's supportive. If I go to a circle or if I do a ritual, I'll walk into my little sacred space and go, I'm doing my witchy things. And that's it. And he'll tease me here and there, but he's supportive. He knows my beliefs, and I know his, and we don't force each other to believe what the other believes in, because of the fact that, it's personal. So my advice is just to think it through fully, and then go for it if you think you'll survive it, or keep it to yourself. I'm out to friends and family, but I am not out to this community. There is maybe one other pagan here in town and another one like 15 minutes away. I live in a really small, rural town. I'm already looked at funny because I'm Hispanic, and this town is mostly Caucasian. So the fact that I'm here is just odd to them. There are churches within blocks of each other. Catholic church, Baptist church down that way is the Christian church. There's a fellowship across the street from the little movie theater. There's the Nazarene church down the street. There's a Community of Christ, the Lutheran church that my daughter goes to for school. They're very Christian here. So coming out of in my community would be a bad idea. If I lived in, let's say, Austin, Texas, not a problem. But anywhere else, you really have to see the pagan community, how it's taken, for you to be comfortable on that. Anyway, just a few of my ideas on that. Give me your ideas. Respond. And you guys have a good night and brightest blessings.